I am busy. I got things to
What
do.
you do, Bo? Oh, my printer broke. My printer fell. Okay.
Oh, the printer fell.
No, it just it
You
fell.
better go to that
And
Office
Bo
Depot and get you
ran.
another little $39
And
one.
I may have to do that. I may have to.
You know, printers, it's a little cheap sometimes, but you get
Yeah,
what you pay
man.
for, yeah. But they've been
What you
out since the COVID
snacking
because
on?
people are working from home.
Well,
Pretzels and
and
cheese.
pretzels and cheese.
Pringles and cheese?
Pretzels and
Oh.
cheese.
I was about to say, what type of project living you doing, girl?
Pretty
Got
much. Pretty much.
government cheese.
Yeah.
That go.
Okay.
You know, if I was doing government cheese, I'd still be chewing right now, right? I had this at 5 o'clock.
Let me tell you that
Still
back
chewing.
then, man, back then, you really didn't know if
If it was
you
going to kill
didn't know
you,
that
you
that
just
was
ate it.
bad. No, you did know that that was. I mean, you just knew it was. You only knew it was bad because the kids teased you.
Yeah.
You didn't
Yeah.
know that it was bad. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Um,
Man,
you
please.
didn't. You didn't know it was bad.
We used to get it from somebody that used to sell there or something. My mom used to be like, oh, we'll take it.
How you
Yeah.
sell free cheese?
That's what I'm saying. We
Niggas.
got some extras. We need a couple bucks. I'm like, really? That's how
Mhm.
people be selling food stamps. It's like, you
See,
get these food stamps, you selling them. Yeah, we used to get the cheese, make the best macaroni and cheese,
it
man.
was the best. It was. It took you a minute for it to melt, though, but okay,
Yeah.
it
You be
worked.
smacking on that for days. Like, what you
Government
eating? I'm
cheese.
eating macaroni and cheese from Sunday. I know it's Wednesday, but still got a little bit left. I got a
All
little
right, we
bit to
ready?
digest.
We ready?
We on the tube? Come on, we on the tube. Let's do this. You know I'm busy. You know I'm
Cheese.
busy. I
Hey,
got
girl.
see it light.
Hey.
Hey,
Oh, for sure.
yeah,
It's the
got
Hey
me
Girl Hey
light.
podcast on Urban Media Today. Big shouts to Urban Media Today. If you're
Shout out.
listening to us on, if you're listening to us right now, then you're probably watching us live on YouTube. But if you are listening to us on Saturday at
Yeah.
9:30 a.m., then you're listening to us via Live 365 and tune in on Urban Media Today Radio, which you could check in every day, 24/7. Listen, the station
Music
is
is
good.
good.
The music is really good. It's old school. It's old
Old
school
school.
hip hop mixes, Saturday podcasts like the Saturday cartoons. You got to
Mm-hmm.
check it out. Look up Urban Media Today, Urban
.com.
Media Today Radio on Live 365 and tune in also at urbanmediatoday.com. You can listen live online. I'm your radio chick, Kiki Brown.
And I am the chatter chick, LaShawn.
And I am y'all millennial chick, Jerry.
So we just dropping last names now? Because
Sam
Yeah,
Tipton.
pretty
I
much.
did Sam Tipton afterwards.
you did? Okay. Anyway,
Yeah.
so just in case this is the first time you're watching or just the first time you're listening, we recap the week and we talk about the craziness that happened throughout the week. We give our own opinion and then um we get into some girl talk and some rumors and stuff like that and we have a good time. So let's
Right.
talk about Trump's impeachment hearings. Have you all watched it?
Bits and pieces. I was looking at a little bit of it today, actually, before we got on.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a mess. It is a total mess. I don't know. I'm a little bit nervous. I don't know what's going to happen. One minute I feel like they're going to do it. They're going to do it. Then I'm like, I
They're
don't.
gonna
I
do
don't.
what? They're not gonna give them a verdict? What do you
Yeah.
mean? Do what? They're
The
gonna do what?
the whole
Impeach him.
impeachment. Can they
Yeah, we got a little freeze there. Like,
Uh-oh. Okay,
wait?
go ahead. Say it again. You
you
froze
back.
up. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay,
And
no,
I'm
no.
back. And I'm back.
Okay, and I'm back.
And
And
I'm
you
But
back.
back.
no, I was saying I didn't know they could still go through with it, even though he's not in office anymore.
Yeah.
That's where I guess they really don't want that man to run again in 24.
Oh,
And
yeah, yeah. I wouldn't want him to.
obviously,
But I
uh,
don't see him. I don't know. He's like he got something on like these other Republicans because they said they showed a video tape that was like 13 minutes long or 15 minutes long and it was showing the whole insurrection and
Mhm.
some Republicans like switched over sides like this is too
yeah,
much
they
to
did.
even watch. The other one said nope, like his dude Lindsey Graham and him And I don't know. After seeing that, even they even show like Mitt Romney going down the hall like doop 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 doop, and then that he was on his way down the hall, and then the black officer he was like, "I am walking." Da, da, da. So that officer was like, that black officer was like, "Yo yo yo, turn around, turn around." So then he said, "Ooh, you know what I mean?"
Mhm.
So he
Right.
turns around, but and they were calling for Pence, the vice president. Like, what disrespect? This is the ultimate disrespect, and Republicans can't see that. So
Right.
the president got them all excited about this, but then whenever they got to, and he said, "Let's go to the Capitol," and then
Yeah.
when they got there, they hollered out for the vice president.
Right.
So what else do you need? So
Yeah.
they're acting like this is like not a big deal, but it really is. It really
I
is.
I watched it, and I watched a lot of it, a lot of the coverage. I was fascinated behind the testimonies. Hey, Tammy, we have our guest Tammy Thompson here joining us. We're
Yeah.
talking about the Trump impeachment hearings, and I know you watched it, so we're going to chime in on that. But me watching it, I watched the opening arguments from the Democrats, and I thought it was hilarious hearing Trump's attorneys just.
Mhm.
First, there are so many, and I follow Tammy on Facebook. So some of the things that we're probably going to say, I think you mentioned something like he was drinking. One of his lawyers was drinking water, but he was holding his head. It's like, is his head going to fall off? Like, what was that
Yeah.
about?
Well, he's trying to keep his hair on. Like,
Was that? But he didn't have any, so I
No,
didn't
no. It's
understand.
a Jewish tradition. Like when they drink or eat, they bless their food. So it was a blessing. Like he puts a blessing on what he eat and he
Oh,
drinks.
okay.
So that's what that
okay.
was. It was just
I
he was
didn't
going
get
back
that.
like this, but it's like he puts a blessing on his food and his drink. It's
See,
his
you
Jewish.
have to
Okay.
explain that to us because we thinking that your head or your toupee gonna fall
Yeah.
off,
Right,
and
right,
Yeah,
right.
now
because he
So,
and
didn't
now
have
you're a
any
me,
hair. He
okay.
and
was
now
bald
you're.
head up
It was
here.
nothing
So every time
there.
he
It was
did that, I
nothing
was like,
there.
I wish he
Okay.
wanted to like his hair grow
I
back, but
didn't get
okay.
it. I didn't get it. But I thought
Yeah.
that I don't recall any of the speaker names, but one of the representatives, the woman who just slayed it, honey,
Ah, she
she
killed
what's
it.
her
with
name?
the royal
What's her what
blue.
Yep.
yes, yes.
Okay.
I don't remember her name, but she was amazing. And not because she looked amazing, but and I hate to say how wonderful a black woman is because she's so articulate. She was so articulate, but
Yeah.
she was a very confident woman. And I mean, her presentation was on point. It was precise. And I'm just thinking like any person that's in that room that's looking at this and you still side with the writers or you still side with Trump, you have to have a separate agenda. It
Yeah.
Yeah.
cannot be
You
your
owe him
agenda
money.
can't be
Right.
you or you got a tape out.
He
There's a
funded
sex
your
tape.
campaign.
He
He
did
funded their campaign.
something. It just it makes absolutely no sense
Mhm.
how crazy this was. These people were angry. They were cursing and they were like, we if they would have caught Mitt Romney, they
Or
would have killed him, or
Or
Nancy Pelosi or Pence, they would have killed them.
they would
Yep.
have.
absolutely.
That's loyalty.
There's
You
no
tell
Yeah.
me, Tammy.
there's no doubt about it. I mean, it for people who aren't so far gone and distance from reality, it is so
Yeah.
obvious that Trump set this up
Mhm.
even way before the election. Back in August, he started talking about
The
if he
Proud
lost
Boys.
this election, that it had to be rigged. He started setting this up
Yeah.
months
Yep.
He did.
months ago.
Yeah.
He made it very clear years ago when the folks in North Carolina, the Tiki Torch guys.
Oh, South Carolina. There's good people on both sides,
Yeah,
good
so
and
he was
bad.
Mm-hmm.
setting
Yep.
up from the beginning
He
because
said,
first of all, even before he ran for election, he knew who his base was, right?
yeah.
He knew who his base was. They knew, and I have to say, as much as I can't stand the man, he ran a brilliant campaign because he
Mhm.
knew exactly who his base
Hatred.
was, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
He knew to run on hate. He knew
Mm-hmm.
to run on poor, white, uneducated people who
Yep.
are afraid of losing their footing in white supremacy in this country.
Yeah.
And that is how he was elected. And so he always had to maintain his stance and keep that base riled up the entire 4 years that he was president. And when he knew that he was not going to win this election.
He knew it. I was just going to say that he knew he wasn't going to win.
He did, and that's what he did, and that's a determinant. Like you say, they're cheating. You said that they were going to cheat even before people started voting, even before the election. And so I don't. So here's my thing. I don't see them. I don't see this man going to jail.
No,
I don't know if he'll be acquitted. Here's where I want. Just take his power away. Just make sure that he cannot run ever again for any type of office. Well, he can't be hall monitor. He can't even be hall monitor in a school. He cannot even be safety patrol. I don't want this brother getting an orange safety belt, crossing guard, nothing.
He's gonna get it.
But here's
he shouldn't be able to.
I don't believe he's gonna be convicted of this impeachment. He won't be, right? But I do think that he has some serious legal issues coming his way.
Oh yeah. New York. It's New York, Florida. And Florida. Is it Florida as well? Georgia. So yeah. Because he's a citizen now. So
as a private citizen, Trump is in trouble. Now, whether or not he will be convicted and really have to do any real time. I don't know about, because white collar crime is a whole nother thing.
It's different. It's different. Yeah.
A whole nother thing.
Yeah, that's for real. That's white collar crime. They go to jail and
golf course.
Thanksgiving they get real turkey.
Exactly.
They get the whole meal at Thanksgiving.
They don't get lunch meat.
They don't get lunch meat turkey. They get the whole meal with a dressed up table and everything.
It's a whole criminal justice system, but I do believe that he is going to be accountable for a lot of stuff. I'm hoping that the District of Columbia will be able to put together a criminal case against him. I feel like
for inciting a riot. Absolutely. As a civil case,
as a criminal case,
because this isn't a criminal case now. This is just an impeachment hearing.
This is really, I get why the Democrats decided to move. I think they did the right thing.
Right.
Okay.
But the outcome that I think people are expecting is not going to happen. He's not impeached. I don't, the Republicans are too afraid to do the right thing. Their political futures hinge on Trump's base. And so they're never, because they care so much about their political futures, they won't do the right thing. Their morals are gone. Their fortitude to do the right thing is gone. And I don't know how they sleep at night, but that's part of politics. But I think there will be a reckoning of some sort, because I do think the Republican Party resents Trump taking over their party. I think there are middle of the road Republicans who are disgusted with what is going on.
Right.
Well, let's other people who are disgusted. Other people who are disgusted, and I want to switch gears because we only have 10 minutes to go for this segment. Rachel Dolezal. I do not know her black name. I don't know her cis name. But she wanted invited. Your cousin wanted invited to the picnic, and she is getting picnic treatment. Homegirl says she has not been able to find a job in 6 years.
Welcome to our world.
She has been outed since she's identified herself as as a black woman in 2015. She changed her name. And she's getting the full black experience. And she was on Tamron, and she's just like, I can't find a job. I mean, let me tell you, she could do some her.
Oh, I was about to
listen.
The documentary, let me just say this.
She's a
documentary was dope. Yeah.
She got skills.
She got skills.
To me, because I can't.
Do my hair.
Yeah, I can't do it. But she definitely has some legitimate skills.
Doesn't she? She was doing the parts all straight. Yeah. She looked like she can get dandruff and put the grease on there.
You know what? I can't.
Scrub it with the little comb. Rachel, she can do it.
on with get the grease out and put it on.
Yes.
Do we have any?
You
Do
know,
we have any advice for sis? Do we just need to tell her to suck it up like us?
You know
Listen,
what?
you just gonna have to do some hair on the weekends, work at the
You
grocery
know,
store during the week like we do.
apply to a little
Yeah.
temp agency. She'll get a job. You know,
She'll be
it's
all right.
hard, but
One thing about us, we're very accepting of everybody, I think. You know what I mean? Like, you know, we do.
Have we accepted her?
Sometimes we're like,
Have
come
we
on in.
accepted? We have
I thought she was cool.
She's your cousin. She's not anybody else's cousin.
I thought she was cool.
No, I mean,
thought she
she
was
wanted
cool.
to be- I think she had an opportunity to be cool and she blew it, you know. But
Yeah.
I do think that I don't know if I believe that she's being turned away from a whole bunch. She's a very educated woman.
Right.
Did she go to like Howard or something?
She's a very
I don't know, child. I can't believe it.
HBCU. Yes, she
She
did.
pledged is she an AKA or
I
something? I
think
think
she
she
is
pledged.
in a sorority. I think sis was.
She ain't no Zeta. I'm just saying.
But she pledged and everything. But she was out there like marching. She did. I mean, she
did a
did
lot,
all
yeah.
the things. She did a lot. So you know, I'm cool with that. I'm all right. Like you want to identify like that?
No,
Okay,
you
fine.
give her a job, cuz.
You give her a job then.
It's
Go
all
ahead, give
about
her a job.
it's all about how well you work. She's good. I mean, if I had a shop, I definitely would bring her in.
Oh, a shop.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think
Because she's
a
not
good braider.
applying for shop jobs, sis. She's applying
Yeah.
for executive positions. She's a graduate. She's an educated woman.
Yeah, well, yeah, she can work whatever. She,
Oh, I would like to know where she's been applying to because I don't.
Right.
Okay.
What type of job is she looking
Well, you know
at?
she's on Instagram. She will respond to you on Instagram.
Yeah, I don't
She
believe
will.
she can't find a job. I
I'm not
believe
following her.
she wants a certain kind of job and can't get it.
Mhm.
I mean, because that's what's our Jim and who?
Jim and Keisha.
and Keisha. Jim
my
and
mic.
Keisha. They need to get together, put together. They need to
Yeah.
start a paralegal. What's the prepaid
Yeah.
legal?
Prepaid legal, they get that shit. I think
Start
Jim has
selling
that.
people
Jim
cell
has
phone
Yeah.
service. They got stuff going on. They could be entrepreneurs.
that. Yeah.
I believe that knowing her, she's applying for a position as a black-led nonprofit. Knowing her,
She's trying to work at Essence.
yeah, she want to
Work at Essence.
you know, and that's why she can't get a job because she's trying to
I think what's holding her back is that she's indicating on her application
black.
she's
That's
black.
black, and they looking at her
Well,
like,
her
"What?"
name is like this Nigerian name,
That's why
and they're looking at the application. And like,
They're like, this ain't who this woman do you think this is?
if she put Rachel Dolezal on an application, she could get a job. 'Cause they gonna hire
oh, I done called her Dozier, Lord Dolezal. Okay. And
they gonna hire
Right.
Rachel.
well, we got 5 minutes. What about showing some love to the TikToker who put Gorilla Glue in her damn hair?
Oh, turn off my mic.
Poor girl. She, I don't know what she was thinking. She wasn't thinking at all. Oh,
I've never even heard of Gorilla Glue.
I've used it. I got it here.
I've never used it. I've never heard of it. So she put Gorilla Glue on her hair and did not realize that it's not something that you use in your hair. What is it? To put houses together? What is Gorilla Glue for?
Put wood and stuff together, stuff for your house.
It's like a super glue. It's just that's what.
Yeah.
Did she get it from the hair store or Home Depot?
Home Depot.
She said she ran out of the got to be glued hairspray to hold her hair down. So she said, I'm going to try Gorilla Glue. So she knew what she was doing, and she could not get it out. She said for she tried 15 times to wash her hair, and she had to get surgery, to have the doctors remove it.
The doctor removed it for free.
Yeah.
I'm trying to count
they flew
to
her
10.
in TMZ. She got mad TV time. She got hundreds of thousands of dollars for a GoFundMe. What was it? She's not going to sue Gorilla Glue because she knew damn well there's no case. So now where's the money? Where's the money going?
For herself, trying to get a new weave.
Sis gonna have some hella ponies and some wigs. You hear me?
She's going to have to get box braids for the rest of her
She gonna
life.
open
'cause
up a
her
beauty
hair is
store. She
cut
gonna open up a
off.
beauty for life. A beauty for
People are
life.
going to donate to
I'm
her.
gonna be honest. I ain't mad. Listen, I hope she takes that money and does something like that. I hope she builds some kind of business or something off of that. I really do. You know, and I've been seeing a lot of chatter and a lot of conversations amongst Black women in particular,
Mhm.
like where there's like half and half. You know, some people are like clowning her, like, really, how could you be so dumb? And then the
Mhm.
other half are like, you know, why do we do this to Black women? And I'm kind of confused, uh,
Um,
because I think, of course, I want to have empathy for anybody that's going through something. But my challenge with this is going on social media. Like, first of all, like, you did that. Okay, you went on social media, you did the video. Like, I felt like you thought it was funny and that you were making this video for attention, although some people are saying that she did it because she was really trying to get help from people, like, what should I do? So my thing is,
yes.
for a young girl, if it was a young girl that did this, I probably would have,
Somebody, y'all, yeah.
but since it's
Hmm.
40,
I
She's
didn't know she
40.
was 40. She don't look that old.
And I think Shay says she's a teacher.
and she's a teacher.
She
I ain't
knows
teaching
better.
my kid.
She knows
And
right
so
from
that,
wrong.
it's kind of like, you know, and what is this hair? It's this hair, you know,
But Tammy, this is what I'm saying. We are so obsessed with our hair that we will do anything just
Yeah.
to lay it. She did that to lay it
that
down. Where were
down.
you going?
Yeah.
So
We're in a pandemic. Everything is closed. Where you going? You're not going to the club. You're not going to the picnic. Where you going, boo? Where you going?
Some people are going to the club and the picnics.
yeah,
Hmm.
well, let me tell you, the little shops are open. The little hair shops are open. Okay. So you know what? I thought this was a little interesting. It's Gorilla Glue, but we got African Pride hair grease. So maybe she thought Gorilla Africa
I'm
is the
not.
thing.
I'm
Maybe
not.
she thought
I
that.
won't.
But
I'm not.
but
I'm not
no,
doing this
no,
with
no.
you.
Africa.
I think
Yeah.
it's the wrong thing. But because we got the grease that has African. Maybe she thought But listen. If
Mm-mm,
you have
mm-mm.
to get something for your hair from a hardware
That's
store,
what I'm
Fine,
that doesn't make sense.
fine.
But
saying. It is not.
then again, in our neighborhoods, you can go to the
We've
corner
been
store to buy
resilient.
cigarettes and get hair
True.
glue
Yeah.
and a
Yeah.
pound of bologna
And a hammer. You can get
and a
all
Mm,
hammer.
that at the
you get it
From the
Oh,
all.
store
come
bus.
on. You
From
got
the
to be
store
smart.
bus.
Yeah,
You got some milk.
you
You
got to
got
be
some
smarter than
cigarettes.
that.
You got a loaf of bread, and you may have enough for some sunflower seeds at the store bus for $20.
She
So
did
Right.
that for a stunt. Because the first thing you do once your hair is glued to your head, you don't get on Instagram and say, how to get this out. You go, I'm going to go to urgent care to the clinic or something.
and she
Nobody
Right.
gets on
for a month.
Instagram.
It was a month. She said that had been in for a month.
Yeah, she did.
So
Yep. And tried
it
to
was
wash it
a
off
month.
15 times.
so I say that
Stuff.
she is the example of helmet head. She
Yeah.
is the picture.
Exactly. It looked like one of
She
those
won't. I
dolls.
bet you she won't do that again.
Remember the Ken
Mm-mm.
Mm.
dolls? The Ken doll that had the
Yeah.
that's what
Oh,
it
could
that,
you imagine that itching underneath that joint? You can't even get a rat tail in
Can't
there. You'd
get.
be like,
You can't even get a paper clip under there. Oh,
yeah,
I
you
know
just be
she was
hitting your head.
human.
yeah, that's a
You
All
mess.
gotta
right.
be
She
itching.
We're
might
I
gonna we're
knew she
gonna
was.
we're
then
gonna take a quick break. We're
That's
gonna
the
get a
donkey
little
award.
serious.
Donkey award.
Yes, I think she
She
did
get
get
the
the
donkey
donkey of the
today.
day.
The
I
other
think she
day.
did get the donkey today. We're gonna switch gears, and we're glad that Tammy's with us today. Tammy Thompson, she is a strong voice in the African American community here in the city of Pittsburgh, and her name is actually building, and has so much weight. Google her. Make sure you check her out. She has a nonprofit organization called Catapult, and we're going to talk about Catapult in the final 20 minutes of the show. Tammy, I want to know what you think about Denver and them starting a star pilot program. I'm going to get more into it about how they've decided not to defund the police and how it's been a great program for the people in Denver. But we're talking about Denver, so I don't know if we can mimic it here. We're going to take a quick break. It's the Hey Girl, Hey podcast on Urban Media Today. Hold tight.
Hey, I got something on the stove real quick.
I
Could you,
cannot with
could you do
you.
the 5 real quick? Hold
Go
on.
ahead. Oh my God.
Gosh.
How you doing, baby girl?
So good. How you
I'm
been,
good. It's good to see you.
Timmy?
All
It's so
right, here
nice
we
to see
go.
you too.
5, 4, 3, 2. Hey, girl. Hey. So
Hello.
this is Tammy. This is when you hear. This is when I say, "Hey, girl." Hey, you go. Hey.
Oh, hey, I love it.
Hey.
I've been saying hey, girl, hey to people all day because I knew it was night.
Hey, girl. Hey.
Tammy Thompson joins us today. We're going to talk to her about her new nonprofit called Catapult and how it's making big noise here in the city of Pittsburgh. Get ready for it to make noise where you are. I know that people are listening from all across the country. Thank you so much to Anchor FM and Apple Podcast and Google Podcast and Spotify and Apple and Anchor. I said Podbean, and we're just heard everywhere. And right now, we are live on YouTube. If you're listening, we are recording on Thursday. You're listening on Saturday at Live 365 Urban Media Today Radio. Thank you so much, Tammy, for being here, and thank you all for listening. So we're going to dive right in. No defunding in Denver. They have reduced their police interaction, and it's saved lives, actually, according to the Root, I believe. I lost my site page, but the Denver area is proving that you don't need to defund the police. They've started a new program called the Star Pilot Program, and they're sending specially trained mental health professionals, not the police, to 911 calls. This is something that's been discussed in conversation. I've heard about this, and they're actually doing it. And since they've started, they've responded to 748 calls over the last 6 months. Not once they need to call the police to assist, not one arrest, not one sent to jail, not one person was shot, not one person was killed. At full capacity, the program, according to the article, could prevent thousands of police interactions a year in Denver alone. And it says that communities have fewer police interactions, fewer deaths and arrests that happen if they mimic this type of program. Could this happen in every city? Could you see this happening in Pittsburgh? What are your thoughts about this program? Tammy, you can respond first. What do you think
Well,
about this?
the fact that you mentioned Denver, so I got a couple of things to say about this. First, I think it's amazing. I think this should be happening all across the country because it is very true that most police calls, a big portion of police calls, are people who are having mental health episodes that
Yep.
can't be brought under control by
Yep.
either their family members or a regular citizen, and they don't know what else to do, so they call the police, right? Or they call 911, right? But the police are dispatched. So
Right.
think about the difference in Denver, Colorado, and Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. One,
Mm,
it's a much more liberal state and city that
mhm,
has had the very smart fortitude to utilize the legalization of marijuana to fund innovative and creative programming that benefits the people. That is the difference. That is what needs to be happening here. Now, being Pennsylvania, you know that, first of all, marijuana isn't legal here for recreational use. And so this state is not getting the benefit of the tax dollar, the massive tax dollar that legalization of marijuana causes. And because they have that excess budget, because they have that money, they can afford to experiment and be creative and be innovative and find ways to do what's right by their citizens. The
mhm,
minute we get smart enough, and I'm praying that our governor, uh, Lieutenant Governor Fetterman, makes it to the governor's seat. And I really do, because I believe that he gets it. I believe that we are on the cusp of being able to do something very similar here, right? Because what it really boils down to is money, right?
Yeah.
It
mhm,
always is going to come down to the budget and providing the proper training and providing the proper, whatever a police department needs to be able to pilot a program like this. And right now, they don't have the funding.
mhm,
So when we talk about defunding, right? That just they're done listening. As soon as you start talking about taking away their money, it changes people's ability to be creative and innovative.
Mhm.
That money is what is going to create more opportunities to be creative and innovative and ultimately save people's lives and do the right thing by people.
Okay.
I totally
LaShawn.
agree with that. I think the terminology when they say defunding is wrong. It's reallocation because if you
Mhm.
don't have the money to pay behavioral health specialists, you just reallocate the money for them.
Right.
You know,
Right.
like we wouldn't have the incident that happened. What was that in Buffalo? The young girl that got pepper sprayed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was having a mental issue that someone could have came in and talked to her and it would have been okay. She didn't have to get pepper sprayed in the face. But so often they send the police to do this kind of work. So you're right. And we haven't used the creative resources because it's all about money
Mhm.
to learn how to use like when I went to Denver and I was working there for a week. And so I had the opportunity to be there during a Sunday night when the Broncos played. So the most fun you have is in their parking lot than you do in the stadium.
Yeah.
They actually, since weed is legal, I don't smoke weed or anything like that. They have less fights
Yeah.
and everything
Yep.
because people are just real chill.
Hello
And
Yeah.
and chill. That's right.
yes,
Yeah.
and they're
I ain't
and
got time for that, man. Look,
yes,
I ain't
they
messing
were
up my high.
making pounds of money on food
So
because
much money.
people had
Yes.
and across from the stadium was this place where you can like smoke weed and you can play video games and there was like people just it was so chill and I was like well dang but they know how to use the money they know that there's money in that and so I thought it was a cool place. Yes, they got it.
Yep.
I
Yeah.
don't
They do.
know if Pennsylvania could get it. It's going to take us a while.
It's gonna
Yeah.
take a while. And we're
It's
always late to the party, right? We're
All the
always
time.
late to the good
always.
always to
Yeah.
the good parties anyway. We
Do
first
you think that we need a younger administration? Do you think that we have
Mhm.
an older administration? We have an administration that's been around and in seat that's been seated for so long, city council and the mayor and we have such a I don't even want to say conservative, but our community, the white community, the black community, people don't like, you always say Pittsburghers don't like change. Don't mess with their Steelers, don't mess with their sports events, don't mess with their
Yeah.
money, don't mess with their jobs or something like that. It's
Right.
just don't mess with it. And I think that Fetterman has a good argument.
Mhm.
Like that is not the problem. Meth is the problem.
Okay.
Heroin is the problem.
Alcohol
Yeah.
is
The
the
hardcore
problem.
drugs.
Alcohol, but
It's
that
complicated.
Yeah.
ain't the problem. You
Right.
know, I think so. I think so. And then talking to our millennial here, you know, I don't know if your generation even gives it much thought because our generation, we're just like we're always thinking about how are we gonna approach this and this is not safe and blah 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 blah. Where your generation just like, I mean, give it a try. Why not? What the hell are you gonna lose?
We're more risk takers, being
Thanks.
we're a lot more risk takers, you know what I mean? And I think with us we just go out and do it, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, at least we tried. I feel like the people who are in that position, they're really stubborn and stuck in their ways, and like you said, they don't want to adapt to change. Where you
Mhm.
get a new fresh set of eyes, new ideas or whatever from, could be the younger generation. It could work, definitely. I think they need to be more open about, letting different people in, from different backgrounds and different ages, younger ages, to kind of see the issue. It could always be a new, like I said, fresh set of eyes, you know what I mean, to come in and just like, look, let's do this, let's change that, and someone else can be like, oh, I never thought of it that way. So I think for sure they could use some, younger people, on that board or in that position to help with, the problem. It makes me think about, remember a few years ago, when was it the social worker or whatever was in the parking lot with the client and he had autism? Remember that? And they had their hands up. Remember that a while ago?
Remember that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, and I don't remember the story, exactly, but the police were called and the social worker was like, hey, like, chill out. This is my client, he's going through an episode or something like that. And I forgot the story afterwards, but it makes you think like this should have been happening. You know what I mean? Like, because the police, they don't know much about it. They don't know much about, the mental health field, or, that's not in their expertise. They come in there to, find out what the issue is and arrest you. You know what I mean? And that's it. They doing their job. Well, that part of their job. They're not looking like deep into it. So having like that mental health professional come in is like, you know what, he is having a psychotic break, he's not mentally stable, let me take care of it. It would decrease the amount of police killings and unlawful arrests that's been going on. So I hope to see that type of change, throughout everywhere. But like you said, Pennsylvania, it may take a little bit longer.
The revenue from legalization of marijuana come in hand, because this is happening not only on our streets, it's happening in our schools too.
Mm-hmm.
So having schools, police and school security, even though most of the school security that I know are there acting not just as security, they're also acting as social workers. And
Right.
but if we had more money to invest in mental health crisis,
Yeah.
we wouldn't see so much need for police to be everywhere and have their
Yep.
hands and things that they're just not trained to do. Right? It's
Right.
dangerous to have these people with guns and violent and people who've been trained to their de-escalation training is basically get them down on the ground, like get them down.
It is. Yep. Exactly.
And that's not going to work in a mental health crisis. So,
Not because they're not thinking.
and again, it all comes back to the money and the funding.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I think legalization of marijuana would be the smartest thing that has happened in this state in a very long time. But it's really hard sometimes when you think about some of the policies and laws that happen in this city. It's almost hard to remember that this is a mostly Democratic county.
Mhm.
Allegheny County.
Allegheny
Yeah.
County.
Allegheny, yeah.
Like
Mhm.
sometimes I'm like, oh, I almost forgot that this is
Mhm.
but because they're so conservative. It's like so conservative and so far from, the
Reality.
reality and the so-called progressive
Yeah.
city that we like to pretend that we are. We're not as progressive at all.
And we're not just talking about whites.
That's right.
We're not. I mean, even our community, we are so not open to trying new things. We're not open to change. We're not, we don't want to investigate. We don't want to try things. We don't trust anything.
It's a trust.
We don't,
Listen, there's so many of the people living in our communities who have never left their
been downtown.
They ain't never left their neighborhoods.
Yeah.
So, right, they have such a limited perception of the world that your perception of the world is created by your experiences.
Mm-hmm.
You have to leave this city sometimes to even be able to see like, hold up, wow, I didn't realize we were so stifled. Every time I go somewhere else, and I love to travel because this city will suffocate.
Oh yeah.
You have to be able to go somewhere else and other people. I remember the first time I went to Atlanta, I cried. I had never seen so many Black people in one place. Literally,
it's like that in Baltimore too. You're like, wow, you are Black.
Mm-hmm.
When you come to Pittsburgh, right.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go to Atlanta, if you go to Baltimore, you'd be like,
never
oh,
like it. And that was like overwhelming for me to realize that I've been in this city so long that I hadn't even recognized how stifling it was to be here as a Black woman, right? And to go somewhere else, and everywhere I looked, it was Black people. Was like, okay.
You know what, Tammy? What I find troubling is how we are as a community not receptive to the creativity that others have. So I grew up here, went to high school, I left Pittsburgh in 2008, I believe, and I lived in 2008. I lived in Baltimore, lived and worked in Baltimore for 8 years, and came back. And everything that I learned in Baltimore, not only did I work in Baltimore, but I also worked in DC and I worked in New York. And there was so much I learned. There were so many people who had planted seeds in me and helped me become the creative person that I am today, and to bring all that in a ball of excitement coming back to Pittsburgh, like, okay,
Mhm.
so let's do this. And it's just like, hold up, I'm gonna need you to sit down.
Right?
We don't ain't nobody got time for that. We gotta wait a minute now. This
But
is
look at the
Pittsburgh. We ain't got time. And it's just like, I don't understand. We'll complain about how we're not progressive,
Yeah.
but we are part of the lack of the problem that we have, that's lack of progressiveness, if that makes sense. Like, we're a part of that. It's like,
But we're a part of it
the
because
dis-
this is what happens when you live in a city like this. You
mm-hmm,
get your creativity, your belief that things can be different, your belief that we as Black people can be this big, bold, beautiful thing, it gets crushed out of you.
mm-hmm,
It gets crushed out of you by
mm-hmm.
purely existing as a Black person in this city.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so if this is all you know, if this is all you've ever been exposed to, then it starts to settle into your spirit and into your
yeah,
Does.
spirit.
Yeah.
And
You
so
supposed
you
to
limit
adapt with it.
it's like a limiting, it's like a
Mhm.
prison that you create for yourself because you haven't seen how the other folks are doing it, right? And so
mm-hmm.
you coming back with these grand ideas is like, what is she talking about? Because
Y'all crazy. She crazy.
well, and this is why
What is
representation is so important.
that?
You have to be able to see yourself in these ideas. You have to be able
Yeah,
to see it
Yeah.
to believe that it can actually happen. And that's why it's so important to get out of this city, and move around. Like move around and see that this is
See
not
different things.
a
Yeah.
lot
This
of
is,
a lot of things that happen with us. If you look at the design and the demographics of Pittsburgh, we're separated by bridges,
mhm,
and so you would think that if you there's people that don't cross bridges. They
yep,
do everything on their side of town and never cross a bridge.
that
There are
person.
certain people that would be like on the east side and will shop on the east side, Monroeville Mall, that there's nothing in there, and will keep shopping that when there's like other malls, South Hills, all this, and will not go to those. Or if they go to them, they're like, I didn't know all those shops were there.
Mhm,
Then
mhm.
we buy only on our side of town, and we let realtors show us houses only on this side of town.
mhm,
Whenever your tax dollars can pay where your money can pay wherever you want to go.
right.
So it's not, we don't have to separate and say this is ours, this is our part of it, you know. And then if you look at our bus design,
Mm,
our buses do not go to certain areas at all.
mhm. Well,
So
Right. Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely.
intentional.
hmm,
That's intentional.
that's intentional.
Yeah.
So, when we think, oh, so the bus don't get us there, catch a Uber.
That's right.
You,
Mhm.
there's way that you can get there. All because the bus doesn't take you there doesn't mean you're not allowed there.
But Pittsburgh,
So
Mhm.
yeah, you're right. And Pittsburgh is one of the most self-segregated cities.
it's segregate,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, of
And we
course. Yeah.
celebrate it. We
Uh-huh.
Seen that.
celebrate it. We
What's going to
celebrate.
change that, ladies? What's
Well,
And I know that we've gotten off subject. We're talking about the police and the whole situation, the Star Pilot program in Denver, but we've moved on just talking about the limitless efforts, or the limitless resources that this city has or even welcomes, here in Pittsburgh. But what's going to change that? What
I
We're
think
in 2021. We
what
have two
happens is
Black men running for mayor right now. And I made that face for a
two.
reason. Mm.
Huh?
I think
There's a
having
reason I said. There's a reason I said two. But anyway, yeah, physically two. Yes.
uh-huh.
Oh,
Don't ask questions. Don't worry about it. So I'm just saying, like Tammy's
I
laughing because
feel
she know what I'm
like
talking about. So she know what I'm talking about. But
Ooh.
there needs to be some change, and we only have a minute left in this segment, and then we'll dive in with Catapult. But what's going to change this?
I think for me, one of the things has to be that we have to see ourselves everywhere, right?
Right.
We've been told
Mm.
that there are only certain places that we go, right? We've been shown by how the intentionality around zoning practices, we just mentioned transportation, like these things have been intentional, right? It's
Yeah.
intentional that most Black folks are living in the highest populations of poverty in this city, right? The three
Right.
H's, the H's I call them: Hill, Hazelwood, Homewood, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's been intentional. That was by design. And the
Yeah.
only thing that has really changed it is the Section 8 movement, right? And people
Right.
having to be being forced out of these communities because they can't afford to live in the city anymore. So people are starting to end up in these fringe communities, right? But
Mm-hmm.
I think what I really want to see, and I just had this conversation with somebody today, I would love to see a Black middle class neighborhood.
Let wait,
Mm-hmm.
hold that, because that is such a deep
That
subject, and
used to
we
be
have
Penn Hills back in the
that
day.
used to be. Let's get into that next. We're gonna take a short break. We are going all in. We're gonna catapult with
Mm.
Tammy Thompson and talk about her new program, Catapult, and we're gonna dive in on this new this subject right here. This is good. It's the Hey Girl Hey podcast on Urban Media Today. Hold on, real quick, as she takes a sip or a bite. Hey, girl. Hey.
Hey,
Hey.
Hey,
Okay,
yeah.
there you go. There you go. It's the Hey Girl Hey podcast on Urban Media Today. We got real serious. We were talking about Denver Star Pilot program, and then we talked about what Pittsburgh doesn't have, and it's appropriate because our guest is a poverty expert.
Mm.
She's the creator of the Psychology of Poverty. She's also the executive director and founder of Catapult Greater Pittsburgh, which is launched to provide economic justice through personal growth opportunities, peer-to-peer support, wealth building, informed financial literacy, and policy advocacy. Tammy Thompson is a big name in the Pittsburgh community, in the county, and worldwide. Basically, she's
I
on her way,
Wait a
or
minute
she's
now.
let's just claim that. Let's just claim that. You are a serious sister. You are doing big things. Your name got some weight, sis. So thank you so much for being on the show. And before we got on the break, you were talking about a middle class. What was it? And you said, and LaShawn said Penn Hills, but you asked a question, and go ahead and respond to your own question. Something about middle class.
Think about it. And because we were having that conversation about traveling to other parts of the country, almost every other major city in this country has a quote unquote Black middle class neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
Pittsburgh doesn't have that. I mean, that
It used to be Penn Hills, like LaShawn said, right?
I remember seeing that in the Ebony
Yeah.
magazine when they were talking. This was years ago, and I was like, because I
If you
used to.
grew up and you knew somebody in Penn Hills, you was like, oh. If you
Oh,
lived in Penn Hills, it was like, oh.
that's right.
Honey,
Right.
So this is what's happened though, because I've had this conversation before too. I remember about 10 or 15 years ago, I was working in a program, always been really, really highly focused on getting Black folks into home ownership, right? So
yeah.
first time home buyer programs are at my heart. Like I love it. But I remember about 10 or 15 years ago trying to get families to purchase property in the Hill District.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And
prime
what
property.
prime real estate. I knew
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I knew what was about to happen. Many
HI double. HI double.
that there's such a our people have so much psychological trauma, so
Yeah.
poverty trauma
Yeah.
that distorts our decision making because
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
we saw an amazing investment opportunity, right? An amazing opportunity to purchase real estate that has and will always have a high market value.
Mm-hmm.
Folks
Mm-hmm.
who grew up in the Hill District, the first thing they wanted to do when they had an opportunity to buy was do what? Leave the
Yeah,
neighborhood.
yeah,
And guess where they wanted to go?
on the other
Penn
side.
Hills.
Penn Hills.
Yep.
Because that was the black Pittsburghers. That was your cue. You knew you had made it when you
Mm-hmm.
had a
Right.
house in Penn Hills, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you think about what's happened to Penn Hills real estate, the values in Penn Hills continue to go down
Down.
every year.
Why?
Well, there's a lot of reasons why.
Crime school district.
The school district has slipped.
Yeah.
The home ownership ratio
Right.
has reduced drastically. There's
Right.
starting to be more renters than homeowners in
And
Pennsylvania.
there's more single women buying houses than families.
Yep.
Families.
In
And
Penn
Exactly.
Hills, there's a lot of single women.
right. So there's a
Yeah.
lot of reasons why the value of properties are going down, but guess where the values are going up? The Hill District,
Yeah.
Hazelwood,
Is it
Homewood,
the renovations and
all
stuff
Yeah.
going on in the
places
city?
that have historically been places that we run from because,
Right.
for one, we are concerned about, well, people won't be able to determine if I'm one of them, right? So when I start making a little bit of money, I got to leave because I don't want people to confuse me for
Mm-hmm.
the
Really?
oh, well, ain't nobody going to
Yeah.
admit it. They ain't going to admit that's why, but I know
Well,
that's why.
whatever other people don't like, we hate.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
We
You know,
hate.
um,
You don't like it, we hate it.
that's right. Or, some of it is even this. People want to leave where their trauma was developed. So I've lived in every neighborhood in this city because I grew up poor, and that's one of the byproducts of poverty is moving from house to house to house, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my mother
Yeah.
moved a lot because
Mm-hmm.
we got evicted. You had to move here. The rent went up. You had to move there. So I've
Mm-hmm.
lived in but the Hill District was one of the favorite neighborhood, one of my favorite
I
neighborhoods.
I
still
grew up
love
on
the
the
Hill.
hill.
Right?
I grew up on the hill.
But I'll be honest and say that is also where a lot of my poverty trauma was developed.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
Hill District was where I remembered being hungry most of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Hill
Right.
District was where I remembered my mom crying because she couldn't pay. Like, so there was a lot of trauma
Yeah.
associated with being in that neighborhood, not because of the neighborhood, but just because of our circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
So people want to leave the place that caused them or where they experienced the majority of their trauma. And that is
Mm.
understandable.
Understand?
Right? That's
Yes.
understandable.
Right.
But we have to fix that. We have to change that because we're leaving our communities. And the more we leave it, right? So as we start escalating in our careers and making money, instead of staying and investing in these communities, we're leaving. And every time somebody leaves who has the means to invest by becoming a homeowner and building that tax revenue, it diminishes the neighborhood even more. So,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a mental challenge. It's a mental challenge. And then also, let's just keep it real. Our school system sucks, right? So, as a homeowner, you want to buy a house. What's one of the first things you think about? What's the school,
Yeah, the school district.
right?
Yeah.
School
Yeah.
district like?
You
So
said the
people are
conversation.
leaving because of that. People are leaving because for some reason we can't get our crime under control,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
If I'm buying a house where I'm raising my kids, right? Do I want to live somewhere where I have to worry about my kid getting shot on the way home? Like, these are
Yeah.
legitimate concerns that our people have, but why have our neighborhoods not been cleaned up? Who do we hold accountable? And there's a
Right.
lot of answers to this. Who do we hold accountable to say that I shouldn't have to leave the neighborhood that I grew up in, that I've grown to
Right.
love, that I've built my support network around? I shouldn't have to leave that to have a better life, right? What can we do to make sure that our neighborhoods are worthy of investment? Well, I want to stay.
Hmm.
I know a lot
Hmm.
of people that want to stay, but they've made choices based on safety, based on
And that's a big deal.
legitimate.
That's
That's legitimate.
They're
a huge
legitimate.
deal.
But when is the information going to get out to the community? This is vital information. This is information that everybody could use. So where does it come from? Where should it come from? Where should the message come from? Of course, it's going to come from Catapult, but does the message come from City Council? Does the message come from the mayor's office? Does the message come from our representatives? Where does the message come from? Because we have the information and you don't know it unless you go out and find it. You know what I'm saying? So how does everyone understand that we all have a responsibility to go out and get this funding or to go back to those neighborhoods that can trigger whatever trauma that you may have, but it's not the same. I have no problem going back to the Hill District and buying property. I have no problem. That's where I grew up. I'm not afraid of the Hill District.
Right.
I won't go to Hazelwood because growing up in the Hill, it's just not something you did. ignorance on my part, but it's just not something you did. You know what I'm saying? It's just same thing with Homewood.
Yeah, I
Right.
moved. So I, as a child, grew up in the Hill District, but then as an adult, I moved to Hazelwood. I raised all of my kids in Hazelwood. I lived in Hazelwood for 20 something years.
When somebody from the Hill, you'd be like, oh,
Remember,
what?
Like, oh, you from the hill? Like, what? You looking at them funny? Like,
I love the Hill.
it was a lot of mess, but
Yeah.
here's where I think the answer to your
Which
question.
is a rivalry that started from nonsense, like so stupid. But go ahead. Nobody even knows what the rivalry was, but go ahead.
But I think the place that we start is within our own communities,
I
right?
was just about to say, starts with us.
And,
It
and-
starts with us
and
in the
it's
community first.
but it's a challenge because we're not all trying to do the same thing.
Nope.
We're not
Exactly.
all on the same page. We don't
Nope.
all
Yeah.
and it's as hard as it is sometimes for white people to believe, we're not monolithic. We don't all believe
Meet at the same time.
thing and have the
Same
same
thing, yeah.
value systems and want the same things for our community. We are in a lot of ways very disconnected as a community, right?
Mhm.
And that is part of the issue is that even when we say, and right now this is a really good time to have this conversation, politically speaking, because that's where the power is, whether we like it or not. This is the political
Vote.
that we have to get out, but not only vote, we have to understand what we're voting for.
What we're voting for and who we're voting for in every election.
And
In
under-
every election.
and also
And not just the president election.
and having a strong
Everyone.
understanding of what happens in these offices, right?
Yeah.
So I can't call the mayor's office because I'm trying to get information about state funding, right? Or I can't call my state rep because somebody didn't pick up my garbage, right? Because that's, that happens. I've seen
Yeah.
it happen where people are mad at, I'll shout out my guy, Jake Wheatley, right?
Jake, shout to Jake Wheatley.
Shout out to Jake. That's
Big
I work in
Jake,
it.
Jakey Jake.
But I've seen people going in on Jake because their garbage didn't get picked up. And I'm like,
Yeah.
Jake, like, so
Ain't
it's,
got nothing to do
there's
with
a
it.
That's a city.
there's a need to have an understanding of what these offices do. And I think honestly, that's one of the things that Catapult is going to be working on. Political education is really, really important because
Yes.
folks, if we didn't learn anything about this November election, we have to see the power of our vote.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Power of our vote is it's unbelievable. The power that
If we haven't seen that in this past election, if we have not seen that, or
Listen.
even in the election in 2016,
that's exactly right.
then
Yeah,
you need to get your eyes fixed because
Mhm.
the black vote is very powerful.
Yeah, and
Oh, yeah,
I think we
powerful.
kind of work in systems
Mhm.
more than working. It's a more of a system thing. Like we want something done, but we put it on a system instead of individually working to,
Right.
educating first, and then. But our vote is so important at a local, like just police chiefs, all that on up. That's where the vote is. Yes.
City council.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because I work in advocacy, so I get a lot of people who will come to me and say, "Well, we need this, and could you go to Wheatley? Could you go to Lavelle? And could you do this?"
Yeah.
And I'm like,
See all
"Well,
the time.
that's not where you want to go. But if I can go there, but you live here and I don't,
Yeah.
so what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to I can tell you where to go. Like I want to empower you,
Yes.
Mhm.
but we do so much in systems that we put it on somebody else. Well, they didn't do it, so it didn't get done.
Yeah.
That's not where the buck stops.
And that's it.
Yeah,
So
sometimes that's it.
So that's the piece, right? Educating our people, helping them understand that these local elections are crucial. They're
Yeah.
crucial. But then understanding, so we got some folks who are running for mayor right now. It is our responsibility to get in the spaces where they are speaking and where they are telling us what their agenda is. What
Mhm.
are they focused on? What are they going to do? What is it that they want to do for us if they get elected?
And how are you going to do that?
How are they going to do it? Right?
Mhm.
We just can't
Mhm.
say they're the man because they come to our bars and pour drinks, become
Right.
bartenders for an hour. That's
No,
not.
because here's what
We
happens.
got to go on and on.
Just like going into a relationship, right? I'm mad because he don't know that I like roses on Thursday. Well, did I ever tell him that?
Did you say that?
Did I ever tell it? Because I can't hold somebody accountable for something that they never said they were going to do. Right? Or
Mm-hmm.
what are my expectations for this person so that I can hold them accountable? And that is the role that we can take to these folks our agenda. What
Yeah,
is
we
the
gotta speak
agenda?
up more about it.
Because what happens? What's going to happen? Let's just be clear. What's going to happen if one of these black men get into the mayor's seat? What's going to happen if we are not?
Me a bunch of mad white folks.
Oh,
Well, everything becomes on his back.
It's
We
Yeah.
expect him to carry us for everything.
it'll be a bunch
Yeah.
of black folks too, though, if
Yeah.
they are expecting something that he's not able to do.
To do.
Right?
That's the same thing with the president.
That's
They
exactly.
thought Obama was going to free us. It's just
Now,
like,
do you ever hear
yeah.
black folks who are mad at Obama because they
Yeah.
didn't realize that he couldn't go in there and wave a magic wand and fix all things?
yeah,
You know? Like,
they
Mhm.
put pressure on people like that. Even now with Joe Biden and stuff and Kamala Harris, we had this conversation last week or whatever. We expected her to do all of this and that, but like it doesn't work that way. It does not work. It takes
Education is the key.
That's right.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that. And Tammy, we're down to our last 5 minutes because we have to wrap up for Urban Media Today Talk Sports. But what does Catapult do? What are the services or resources that you all provide? I know that it's here in Pittsburgh, but if you're listening in a different state, maybe you want to be involved. But tell us the services that you all provide and how can we get involved if so?
Right. So thank you for asking. First of all, thank you for bringing me on. And I wish y'all could see
Of course.
Kiki's glasses right now. Kiki, I'm like, wait a minute. Okay. So I'm gonna make this because we do a lot. I'll be honest, we do a lot. But everything that we do is rooted in economic justice for primarily black folks. Right.
Mhm.
yeah.
We understand, and I understand everything that I'm bringing to this organization is coming from my own personal experiences in generational poverty. Right? I was born into deep, deep, deep generational poverty. I've been homeless. I've been hungry. I have been fighting and scratching to get from surviving to thriving practically my entire life. And what I learned along the way is that poverty is not just about how much money we have. Long term exposure to poverty will impact you mentally and emotionally. And it has a way of preventing you from being able to recognize opportunity. Right. So you can plop down a program in any neighborhood in this city. It might be a program that you have perfected and done all these amazing things to make it available to folks. But if people do not see this is an opportunity for them, it's not going to matter. And
Mhm.
poverty has a way of convincing people that their current condition is all that they're ever going to be and all they're ever going to have. And we have to start from a practitioner perspective of people who are doing work to help get people out of poverty. We have to recognize that there is a certain level of work that has to be done to help bring people out of their poverty trauma, to help people be able to recognize self-sabotage and triggers and understanding our history, understanding that a lot of the policies and systems that exist were created to keep you exactly where you are, and you still have to navigate it to get to the other side, right? And so then once you do that piece, and that's a piece that we do that we call peer-to-peer work, where we work one-on-one with people and give them that space to learn and grow and heal in that manner and develop strong social capital so that they aren't doing this work on their own. Then you introduce wealth building opportunities such as home ownership and entrepreneurship, and you guide them along the way and motivate and inspire and connect them with these opportunities and continuously put these opportunities in front of them in a way that you recognize somebody's going to fall off because it's going to get good. And one of the main things about any kind of trauma is you will revert backwards because this is where I'm comfortable. Even in my most discomfort, I'm comfortable here because I know how to navigate being poor. I know how to get $20. I can stretch $20 longer than anybody. That doesn't mean I enjoy being poor.
Right.
Right.
It means that this
Like
is
to do
how
it, yeah.
I've learned how to survive.
Well,
Yeah.
And so in survival mode will make you think this is all I can do. And I can't even think about that over there, but we've got to push people into thinking over there because that's where wealth building exists. right? Wealth building exists over there, and we got to get people to that space.
Let's
So,
push people over to your website,
yes,
because we could be here and I want to learn so much, but folks need to visit your website and they need to get more information. So give us the details real quick so that we can sign off and let these guys talk about sports.
perfect. They can check our website, Catapult Greater Pittsburgh, at www.catapultpittsburgh spelled out.org.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tammy, you're awesome.
Love you
We
guys.
love you
So much.
so
Yes.
much.
Don't
I
forget.
love you, Jerry.
I love
Don't
you too,
leave.
Tammy.
Don't leave. Reach out to us at the Hey Girl Hey Podcast at gmail.com, or you can call us at 412-709-6130. Follow us on social media. You should already know where we are. If you don't, catch up later. I'm just gonna say that because that's usually Jerry and LaShawn's, but they've been doing it. And if you don't know how to catch up, then I'm sorry.
Yeah, we've been
You
doing this a
will.
while.
You will.
All
You
right.
will. I'm your radio chick, Kiki Brown.
And I'm LaShawn, a chatter chick.
And I'm your millennial chick, Jerry.
And we have the catapult chick, Tammy
Catapult
Thompson.
chick.
The catapult chick
Yes.
in the building. Tammy Thompson, thank you so much for joining us. And thank you for watching and listening to the Hey Girl Hey podcast on Urban Media Today.
So we're off a lot. Are we still on live?